As a fantasy writer, I have spent so much of my life searching for magic, and there is an awful lot to be found in books, which is fantastic, but I do sometimes find myself looking around at the modern world and finding it all a bit grey and sterile. So many of us live our lives surrounded by concrete and tarmac. Our time is dictated by our routines and other people's rules, and we are beset by 1,000 different drains on our time and energy. So today I want to talk about a few ways that we can reclaim some of the magic in our lives, starting with getting outside. Now, I'm aware that not everyone is as lucky as I am to be able to live somewhere this beautiful, even if it is rather cold and grey today. And I could extol the virtues of getting out in nature for hours. There are so many benefits for your physical health and your mental health. But really what I want to talk about today is just getting outside in general. Not necessarily running away to the wilds, but really making the most of your local environment. Maybe you have a park nearby, a riverside, a canal, whatever it is, even if you can just go and stand under a single tree on your street. I highly recommend getting outside every single day if you can. But the important thing here is not actually where you go, but what you do when you get there. And this is why, even if you don't have those green spaces immediately available to you, there is still magic to be found. So here is what I would suggest. Once you are outside, take a few moments to really study your surroundings. Put your phone away. Preferably you want to be alone while you're doing this, and pay as much attention as you can. Watch the clouds going by overhead. Feel the sun on your face, or the wind, or the rain. Listen to that wind through the trees, or whistling past buildings, or listen to the crunch of snow under your feet, whatever it may be. And even if you can't physically get outside, I would recommend simply opening a window and observing your surroundings there instead. And once you've soaked in the obvious elements of your surroundings, how about looking deeper? Because that really is where the magic can be found. Have you ever actually picked up a leaf and really studied it? Have you looked at the veins running under the surface? Have you held it up to the sun and watched the light shining through it? Have you looked at the way the water droplets bead on its surface? Have you ever looked at a single wall and noticed how many different species of moss and lichen you can find, often in a very small space? Have you noticed how many species of grass and wild plants and weeds you can find, even in a square metre of a public park? The natural world, whether there are people around you or not, is truly the most magical or inspiring thing. The way it functions, the way it interlocks, truly takes my breath away every single day. And the more attention you pay to it, the more you look at the details, the more extraordinary it becomes. So if you do just a single thing off this list, I highly recommend it be this one. Get yourself outside, breathe in the air, and study every single little detail around you. Doing even that for a few minutes a day can completely change your perspective on the world. Now, we all spend too much time on our phones. And if it is not phones, it is work computers or TVs or tablets, a myriad of other different screens. We are surrounded by them day in and day out, and to be honest, modern life makes it very difficult to do without them. So I'm not suggesting here that anyone runs away to a cabin in the woods and goes completely offline and off grid, but there are activities which we have consigned to screens which really don't need to be on them. Take, for example, the humble to-do list. For years, I have kept my writing life in a journal like this one. I write down all my tasks, all my appointments, all my thoughts, and all the next steps in my business and creative life. And you might think, isn't that a waste of time? Surely that is going to take longer than, for example, using Google Calendar or getting all your thoughts down with a keyboard? In my experience, the answer is no. But even if it does take more time, it is definitely worth it. When I open my journal, there are no distractions. It is simply me and the page. There are no notifications, no pop-ups, no apps that I could just casually open and scroll through. The only possible course of action when it is just me and the page and a pen is to start writing. I can think or I can write. Those really are the only options. And I really think there is magic to be found in that analog process. I find the same whether I am planning a to-do list or planning my fiction. My brain just works differently with a pen in my hand. My ideas flow out in different ways. And I really do believe that I am more creative on paper than I am on the keyboard. And this doesn't just have to apply if you are a writer or an artist. There are so many other ways of going analog to bring a bit more magic into your life. I'm old enough to have grown up without the internet, at least until my teenage years. And I still have a massive collection of analog media. Books and CDs particularly, and they really do bring me so much joy. It's not just that in curating a personal collection like this, you are amassing something that can't easily be taken away from you, unlike a lot of digital media these days. There is also magic in the physical objects themselves. Now, I love my Spotify subscription and my e-reader definitely. They are incredibly convenient and they put such a massive world of media at my fingertips, so it would be hard to completely give those up. But I also adore cracking open a brand new paperback and running my fingers over the paper and smelling all that fresh ink. I love the feeling of buying a new album on CD or vinyl and poring over that little lyric book inside and looking at all the artwork, and then playing the album over and over again until it is ingrained in my memory, because I have one new album and I can't simply go out and get another one. So I think whether you are creating or consuming, there is something to be said for going back to the analog world, at least some of the time, because there is a lot of magic to be found there. Savouring the little things. Now, an awful lot has been written about slow living, and this lifestyle of shorter work days, more space and more time is one that I've pursued myself for many years. But I think the internet has given us the impression that slow living has to mean moving to the countryside, buying a cottage, keeping goats, whatever it may be we see so frequently on YouTube. And to be honest, I don't think any of those things are necessarily true. What I really think is key to slow living is not where you live, but how you live. It is getting up in the morning and going outside and seeing the sun before you pick up your phone. It is making that cup of coffee in the morning, and if you're really dedicated, drinking that entire cup of coffee before you look at the news or go on social media. It is savouring the ritual of making the drink, enjoying the taste, enjoying the scent, and really thinking about every little aspect of what you're doing without rushing ahead through your day. Because as we talked about earlier, there is so much power in your attention. It is one of the biggest things you have to give. And every company that is trying to sell you something or dictate how you spend your time knows that very well indeed. All the social media companies would like you to scroll on their apps forever. All the online shopping companies would like you to buy and buy and buy and fill your house with so much cheap plastic that you can't get through the door, and then you have to go out and buy a bigger house. Attention in our current economy is money, and it is power, but it is also a way of slowing down. Because when you put your attention on what really matters, whether that is your family, your creativity, your hobbies, simply what you are eating, you're not only making the world around you slow down, but you are also telling your brain what really matters in your life. You are equally savouring things that aren't about power and money. You are essentially finding something that is intrinsic to the human condition and always has been. And that really is something that a faceless company cannot sell you. So however you approach savouring the little things in your life and whichever details you choose to focus on, I think that is incredibly magical. Now, not all of life can be fresh coffee and walks in the park. I do know that. And even living this life of relative freedom, being self-employed and out in the wilds, there are still jobs I have to do that I don't necessarily relish. I still have to clean toilets and do my groceries and fill out my accounts paperwork. None of those activities really fill me with joy. So how do we make these mundane and even quite possibly painful tasks more enjoyable and potentially more magical? Is it even possible? Well, now we come to that old internet's chestnut of romanticizing your life. This is a trend that online and on YouTube particularly has been pretty much inescapable in the last few years. And I think largely it is a positive one. Part of finding more magic in life simply comes down to believing that magic is there to be found. That is a really good place to start. But there really is very little magical about organising my tax receipts for my accountant. Believe me, I have tried to find the magic and it simply isn't there. So in this instance, the romance comes from pairing two things together. I make that paperwork bearable, and maybe even a little more than bearable, by pairing it with my favourite music and a good cup of tea. I use that grocery shopping trip as an excuse to take a hot drink, buy a pastry, and sit in the car with my partner and have a picnic. It gives us a chance to catch up away from our work lives. And yes, hot drinks do make everything more magical. And cleaning toilets, well, okay, I'm still working on that one. I just have to grin and bear it. But when we find ways to incorporate fun and enjoyment into even the most boring tasks, then we can actually cancel a lot of that boredom out. This isn't about rewarding yourself exactly. That can be useful too, but in this instance, it is more about making the task itself more interesting. That might mean adding a great podcast or book to your daily commute. The most boring work meetings can suddenly be an excuse to use a beautiful notebook and fountain pen and coloured ink to take notes. And the more activities you can pair together like this, then the fewer tasks you need to dread, because there is something to look forward to in all of them. So there are 4 methods I use to bring more magic into my life every single day. They don't require much money, and most of them don't even require much time, but they allow me to see even the most mundane parts of my life as something special, and that is definitely worth celebrating. So I would love to know down in the comments how you bring more magic into your life. This is of course an ongoing process. There are always going to be days, no matter where you live, that feel grey and boring and definitely not magical at all. But the more I bring these things into my life, the more I turn it into a life that is really worth living. And I would love to know how you are doing the same. See you next time.